You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV Spartacus After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV Spartacus After Show.
Hey.
Oh yeah. Bing is for doing, and here we are doing the last and final amazing and just epic show for Spartacus, War of the Damned. And it is season 3, episode 10, the final episode. And I'm your host, Sean O. And I'm joined here by my awesome and spicy co-host,
Spicy Marty, making sure that we're keeping it hot and sizzling. Sex scenes coming up.
hell yes. And we had one really good one, right?
We had a great one. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about that. But our big topics, obviously, this is the series, not the season, Spicy. This is the series finale of Spartacus. And I'm sad to see it go, but this was an amazing episode, and it was a great way. It was a great coup de grace, finishing touch that the writer Stephen DeKnight put on for us, and it was just an amazing show.
What did I say while we were watching? Best show on television thus far, from beginning to end, from first season to last. Amazing.
Yeah, and this episode was just, it was more than I expected. I was so glad. And you saw me next to you cheering. I'm like, I'm the fanboy there, just seated next to you, like spouting out Spartacus stuff and putting my hands up in dismay when things happen.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this was a pretty intense episode and a little bit sad too. It was definitely a little depressing, but Sparty fans will agree with us. We are sad to see it go.
Yes, very sad indeed. But these are our topics now that we're going to talk, and we're going to try to get through as much of the content as we can. But final battle breakdown.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of that.
We're going to do that. We're going to talk about Spartacus versus Crassus. Yes, and both times when they talked and when they fought.
Right.
Then we'll talk about Gannicus and Kore and their crucifixion. And we have a special guest that's supposed to be with us today.
Yes, fingers crossed.
Tyrone Bell, all the way from New Zealand. He works on the show. We've talked about him a lot this season.
He retweeted us and everything, so I'm hoping that he's able to buzz in with us.
Yeah, he's the trainer on the show for all the gladiators and the Romans. So it's so great that we're going to be having him, and hopefully the Skype call goes through. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started.
Yeah, let's get started before we get him on the line.
So the final battle breakdown. I need to go down. How about you start us off, Spicy?
Okay, so on this episode, we, of course, get to see both the Romans and the rebels preparing for battle. We hear Marcus Crassus on one end, and then we hear Spartacus on the other, both preparing their soldiers to go into battle. And Spartacus, of course, gives this amazing, touching speech in order to prepare the men. But we see also Gannicus and everybody kissing their loved ones, and Gannicus gives Sybil a public, kiss. I guess they're official now. And
actually,
Spartacus,
I think it was with Laida, and Spartacus was the one that I think
Spartacus gives Laida the first public kiss.
Yes,
but
for sure.
Giannicus gives Sybil a public kiss as well.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because he hasn't come out with his relationship yet either. That was something that was secretive. He was having an affair on Saxa.
You know what? They did have one kiss during Crixus's going away party, and that's when Saxa saw them. Do you remember that? I think something like that happened. But I don't remember. But we're getting kind of sidetracked.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Anyway, okay, so after they do their council or they do their speeches on both sides of the battlefield,
right.
Then we noticed that the Roman formations are very impressive. They are so organized, squared away, and we see them up against Spartacus's army, and you can't even see his lines. Like, they're so dispersed, and it's like a straight line that's kind of like scattered, right? So even Crassus and Caesar, they're looking upon this and they're like, wow, to kill so few of these, and Crassus is obviously saying to Caesar, well, you know what, this is an example that's going to be made, and you're not going to show anybody mercy. And they say this to everybody on the Roman side.
But before they begin the battle, is that the conversation that you are talking about between
exactly.
Spartacus and Marcus?
Yes.
And so that in itself you thought was a little heated, right? Because you were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
I was actually referring to Caesar and Crassus.
Oh, okay.
But we're going to move on to that a little bit later. That'll be our next topic.
That was that was before the actual fight commenced.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but I'm talking about the actual battle right now.
Right.
So so they each give their speeches, right? And when they move into battle, or shortly beforehand, there's like great symbolism that happens with Agron's shield.
Right.
So it's a red serpent on there, and Naesir put it on there. He doesn't know what Spartacus is thinking, but Spartacus sees it, and he's like, you know what, this is an omen. This is exactly, we've come full circle in a way.
And I asked you during the show, I said, what does this serpent represent? And you explained it to me. And our regular Spartacus fans will be able to recap with you. What was the serpent representative?
It was pretty much his wife's dream. His wife had a dream that he was kneeling before a red serpent. And we saw that when he was in the gladiatorial arena, when he was supposed to be executed. And he was, and then of course he survived, and he survived until now. He sees it again, and he's destined for great and unfortunate things. So he was able to lead this great rebel army. He was able to rise up with slaves and turn, lash into sword and be able to take swords up against their masters. And of course, the unfortunate thing is, the spoiler alert, he ends up dying.
And we'll get into the death. But the actual shield was created by Naesir for Agron, so that Agron could participate in the battle as well.
Yeah, exactly. So fast forwarding a little bit, one of the awesome things that happened was how did they make this huge crevasse? That was so unexpected for me.
Well, leave it to Spartacus to do the impossible, as Gannicus said, but it was amazing to see because it just emptied. I don't know if they covered it with what it was, how they created that, but then we see the Romans fall inside of it as soon as the war begins.
And so many of them get impaled. And that wasn't the only surprise of the battle. So the battle's going on, it's going forward, right? And then the Romans get up to that point, and they're like, you know what, let's just turtle up and put our shields in front of us and on top of us. Guess what? They can't see anything. And Spartacus and his men turn up in the dirt ladders that go over the crevasse, and they go over them, and Spartacus is the first one over, putting swords into as many Romans as he can, and so all of his other rebel army follow.
And a fight that was, because didn't you say that they were able to get from behind and the spears start flying?
That's right. And what actually happened with that too, so that was the third surprise actually, where Gannicus, who was nowhere to be found, and of course a good lack of dramatic irony there, he comes in and he completely flanks him. I thought he was just going to flank him from the side, but no, he got completely on the other side, the tail end of Crassus's army, and he overtook the ballistas, which are those big crossbow-looking things that shoot gigantic spears. And they took those, they were shooting them at the front lines of the Romans, and probably hitting a bunch of men in between, too.
Oh my gosh, and it was almost dang near impossible not to get defeated because there were so many Romans that were organized, like we said, versus the rebels. But let's get into Marcus, Crassus, and Spartacus's conversation that they had, because that can lead us into their battle.
Yeah.
That they had one-on-one between each other.
Yeah, that was a really good scene. Gosh, there's so many good lines in there. When I first saw them and they met each other, I was like, oh, right, they're getting some FaceTime, like I predicted they would, right? And of course, like, they can't just go into battle and not have some meaning behind it, not show the motivation, right? So we end up having them converse, but I thought when they drew their swords out, I thought that they were actually going to fight mano a mano.
Oh no, not yet.
But they didn't end up doing that. No, but you know what? It was just as nice because they exchanged words and they all had so much meaning behind it, which was really good.
Well, I was surprised to see them almost shake at the end of their conversation before they went into battle. The fact that they even were on the same accord. I mean, of course, Spartacus is threatening to take his life, and Marcus Crassus is saying, of course, you'll try, but, you won't. I mean, they were almost being kind to each other, and even Marcus admitted, we have so much hate for each other, but we've never even spoke. This is the first time that we've ever had a real one-on-one conversation. But they were both, very, I guess, they were men about it and decided to wait into the battlefield to actually fight.
And what's the great thing about Crassus is he doesn't treat Spartacus like he's a slave. And there were so many good lines that were exchanged during that final battle and beforehand too. One of my favorite quotes was, he said, "We've vexed each other for many months."
Yes.
That was good too.
That's a great way to put it.
And then when they closed that scene off, Spartacus said, "There is no justice, not of this world." And Crassus responds, "At last, a thing we agree upon."
At last.
So that was really, really cool.
Well, while the battle breaks out, they finally, they part ways and they, of course, start fighting. In the midst of that, we see an amazing scene where Marcus Crassus is on horse and he calls Spartacus out and he's plunging at Spartacus, and Spartacus leaps in the air.
Like his jaguar pounce, he always does.
A trick he probably learned from Tyrone, but he knocks Marcus off his horse. And so
that looked really like a lethal blow, too.
Oh, yeah. And this confidence that we see that Marcus originally had when he was coming for Spartacus has now left. And his soldiers are now protecting him from Spartacus.
Yeah.
And then in the midst of that, we see that they flee, they get him to safety, but then up a hill comes Spartacus running, blood dripping all over him.
Blood, dirt, he was just drenched in war.
But this was probably, I feel like, one of the best scenes, because we see him running up the hill with swords in hand, coming after Marcus.
And I wonder if that was the same hill where they were having the original conversation before the battle.
Knowing the writers, they probably were. I'm sure they thought all of that out. And so he comes after Marcus, but he has the soldiers protecting him.
Yeah, at first he does, and Spartacus annihilates the soldiers.
There was like 6 of them, right?
Yeah, he takes them all out, and Crassus is there because he was being protected by his men. Now he has nothing, but Spartacus lets him get the sword. And not only does Crassus pick up 1, like a typical Roman, he picks up 2. That is so unique, and that's what he's been training this whole time,
right.
And I love it. No other Roman would fight like that but Crassus, because he is the unique one. He is the one that's different above all else because he does not see himself above the slaves, above the rebels.
And he was trained by a gladiator, so he feels like he's prepared to fight Spartacus. This is the moment that he's been waiting for, and they go at it. But my favorite part of the scene is when we see the fight coming to an end, and we think that at some point, Marcus Crassus has Spartacus because he plunges at him with the sword from behind, kind of. And after he captures the sword in hand, he comes at Spartacus to plunge. Yeah. But Spartacus does the same exact thing and catches the sword in his hand as well, showing his equal strength. And hey, I can catch a sword with my hands too.
Yeah, that was really amazing. And that brings us back again, like full circle to the beginning of the season, where we see Crassus do that with his slave that he was training with. And we know that he has that move in his arsenal. He's like, it's like he's got an ace in his sleeve, But he ends up taking that out, and right then I'm thinking to myself, dude, this is it. He's got Spartacus cold. Like that, Spartacus can't expect this.
Right.
But Spartacus expects the unexpected. And he thinks quickly, of course, he's a gladiator. He's the bringer of rain. He grabs that sword and he takes it in his own hands. And it was just so fantastic.
Realistically, those fingers might have fallen off if both of them had done that. Grab the sword at the actual, metal part with your hands, because it's sharp. Can it slice through your hands?
It could have been really messed up during the battle, because even though they sharpened it beforehand, imagine you're pounding against people's people's armor, you're getting dirt and blood all over it, it probably does soften it up a little bit.
So that they both can catch it with their hands.
And you know what? It just looks really cool anyway.
It was an amazing scene. That was my favorite fight scene thus far from this season. But then we see right when Marcus is about to defeat Spartacus, we see, Spartacus grab the sword, and then Spartacus gets the upper hand, and he's about to now defeat Marcus Crassus. But then the spears come. There's 3 of them that hit Spartacus from behind in his back, and then 1 in the leg.
Not 1, but 3.
Taking him down.
And finally the 3rd one took him down because it went into his leg.
But Marcus Crassus comes over to him, prepared to take his life. We see all these memories of Spartacus's love of his life, and I was telling you,
flashing back.
Right, he was prepared to die.
He was thinking of Varro, he was thinking of Sura, he was thinking of all of his friends and comrades, and Mira too.
And right before he is prepared to die, we see Agron come to the rescue on top of horse with spear in hand.
And another unexpected surprise. I really felt, seriously, just the way the action was going, the way the writing was happening in the scenes, I felt like no one was coming to his rescue. I thought he was going to get impaled by that gladius that Crassus had in his hands.
Yeah.
And then later on, his body would be found or something like that. But he ended up escaping just for a little bit longer.
Well, yeah, Marcus Crassus got knocked over. And then, of course, Caesar comes and, grabs him. And now they're looking for Spartacus's body because they don't know, where he went or who took him. But Agron, takes him to the rescue with Nasir, to hiding or to safety, back up with the rest of the rebels.
Yeah. I really want to talk about Gannicus and Kore getting crucified, but I want to move on to our tweets from our fans.
Okay.
And
we have
talk
to
about
mention all the
real
people
quick.
that lives were lost along the battle.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You want to do that while I pull up the tweets?
Yeah, I'll do that really quick. So on this episode, you guys, if you are like me, you're sad or cringe every single time you see one of the rebels go down, because over the seasons, we've developed relationships with these people. So immediately we start to see Lugo, he goes down.
He's the first one to get caught on fire.
First one, he gets lit on fire. I kind of complained about this scene to Sean because I felt like it was a little unrealistic and it looked very digital.
You didn't like the CGI.
I didn't like the graphics for it. I just felt like, I understand what they were doing. I just don't think that they achieved it. It just didn't look real to me with him being on fire and he's still fighting, fighting the Romans off. But regardless, we lose his life. And then the next to fall was Saxa. And that was really sad. But she finally was back in Gannicus's arms.
She was, and that was really nice. That was a good touch. And
after that,
lastly, Naevia ends up dying.
Naevia, and she's now reunited with Crixus.
Yeah, and she got killed the same way that Varro did. Remember back in season 1 when Spartacus impaled Varro with the gladius into his, from the neck, up here in this area, down into the abdomen and the chest. That was so brutal and that was so bloody.
But the fact that Caesar did that to her and takes the sword from her, saying this doesn't belong to you, slave, emphasis on the slave. Not only are you going to die, I'm going to remind you of your worth and who you are. And takes Tiberius' sword back. Caesar
is such a great fighter too, but oh man, and the way he knocked out Gannicus like that, I was wondering what was going on.
Well, they had a little rivalry going on, but while we're on the topic of those next in line for dying, let's talk about Gannicus and Kore.
Oh, you know what? We gotta do the tweets and stuff. So let's talk about the tweets.
Okay, we'll save that for the
we gotta do these fast because we're gonna have Tyrone Bell on the line.
Oh, 6:30.
Yep. So we got on our YouTube channel. We got a lot of comments here from it looks like Milt RB. What other podcasts are you two featured in? Well, us two together as a team, we're not featured in another one yet, but if Caesar comes around...
Which is rumored,
we may do that together, huh,
yes,
Spicy?
We may.
I'm going to be doing Hemlock Grove, actually, within the next couple of weeks, which is a Netflix original series. It seems like a really good show. It's starring Famke Janssen. It's about werewolves. What are you going to be doing, Spicy?
Nice. I don't have anything coming up right this second. I just wrapped up with Happy Endings, and fortunately, Spartacus is coming to an end. I'm so sad, but it's unfortunate at the same time.
Okay, so also, Just Listen. She says she had a really good comment here. She said, thanks, I think I got it. Oh, she had some predictions and stuff, and she said, thanks, I think I got it right because I'm a writer myself, and I was trying to get into the mind of the knight and his team. So she was able to predict that Agron and Nasir walked off together.
And I thought that was very interesting that they are the ones that lived. I felt like that was unusual. I thought that all of the rebels were gonna die, but I mean, you know, I guess that was supposed to be like the romantic element.
You're right. They had one power couple survive.
Right.
And I'm so glad that happened.
But all my favorite couples died.
Yeah.
So a little bit sad about that.
MG playerable. And by the way, Caesar actually looks like Thor. So I guess we were saying Brad Pitt last time, right?
Right.
So you're saying that Caesar looks like Thor more. And you know what? I agree with you, actually, MG playerable. Especially with the beard and mustache, like you mentioned in your comment. Also, we had Miss Lost Nikita.
Yes,
She said she loved. Yeah, shout out to her. She said she loved the arena atmosphere, and it was a great farewell. Because it was such a big part of the show, like the whole first season and even some of the second season, and of course season 0, it was all arena fights, and I actually liked that about the show a lot. So it was a good throwback when they had that arena fight to honor Crixus's memory.
And she agreed with me. I love her because she agreed. I like and love her. She agreed with me on Laeta not being as amazing character and storyline for Spartacus's love interest. And I'm not too thrilled about Sybil and Gannicus's love interest as well.
Yeah, and Jordan Grays, she or he ended up saying, based on the tweets and a interview, there is a deleted scene that got cut from episode 9 where Nasir goes all crazy angry on Castus because he blames Castus and himself for Agron leaving. And we talked about that,
we did.
right? And we said that, and that's probably what Jordan Grays was saying. Yeah, it's pretty much like, it would have been such a distraction, to be honest, and I'm glad they left it out because we just got to keep moving forward. We can't have any more love interests that are interfering with people's lives at this point.
Well, Tiffany F said that she can't stand Sybil as well, and that she thinks that we don't have time on the show for Gannicus to play a white knight for a girl too stupid to seek shelter from a snowstorm.
That was nice. I really like that.
I appreciate them agreeing with me about Sybil and Laeta not being crucial characters, and which kills me because they are the ones who lived at the end of the show.
We had a really good tweet from Crowboy82. Now, don't we love him? He follows us.
He's always very supportive.
He is so supportive, and he contributes a lot too. So he actually tweeted at Liam J McIntyre, at Liam_J_McIntyre, who plays Spartacus, of course, and Stephen Denied, myself, and he said, with all of us in the beginning of the tweet, have you read this yet? Why Spartacus is better than your fave TV show? And it was at this website called soundonsite.org, and that was a good article. It was really lengthy. It took me half a day to read the thing, but because I was like doing errands and stuff. But it was a really good article, and guess what? Stephen Denight read it, and he tweeted back at Crowboy and me. And of course, I didn't do the article, but I'm so glad that I was included in the tweet. But Stephen Denight said at Crowboy82, at Liam J McIntyre, at Sean Austino, that was deeply touching. Thanks so much for posting the link.
Cool.
That was really cool.
Well, if we're on tweets, Michael, great one, Mr. Pretty Boy Floyd, just gave us a shout out too. He appreciates us giving him his Spartacus fix and talking about the show. And Lady Ferdosa, who's at Ferdosa D, said gratitude for creating a platform or a great atmosphere for discussion. So we wanted to show her love. And then Lindsay Phillips, Odd B Cakes, she wants to know about Caesar's story, if that was left open as well for the spinoff on Starz. So we're going to have to kind of ask, Tyrone about that, if he knows the inside tip on that.
Yeah, there's been so few rumors that are out there. Actually, there have been a lot of rumors, and there's less hard evidence that there's going to be a Caesar spinoff. Lastly, I want to do a shout out to DeRay at OS_midnight_love, and she said, at Sean Austin O, can't wait to see the review tonight. I will dearly miss Spartacus series as well as your review show. Shout me out, please. And there you go, OS Midnight Love. Hope you enjoyed watching us. And we love that you guys, all of you fans, there's so many of you guys that tweeted at us, and we can't possibly fit all you guys into one show with the conversation, but we do appreciate it.
The support, we love you guys.
The support, and without you guys, we wouldn't have anything to talk about. So thank you guys so much. And anyway, let's get back to our show, and let's see if Tyrone Bell is on the line now. Is he on the line now, Martin?
He is not online yet. I'm actually waiting for him to get online for Skype because he's still offline.
Okay, maybe he's busy training someone.
Okay, we'll see about that. So, but
we can continue talking about the battle.
Yeah,
then.
let's keep talking about the battle. But just to make it sure, try doing another search for his Skype name, which is TY period
Rex 1. Right?
Yeah, and it should say he's from New Zealand.
Okay.
So Gannicus and Corey.
They ended up getting crucified.
Yes.
And you know what? It was really for Corey, we didn't get to see much of her perspective, but honestly, she must have been in agony because she confessed to the man she loved, pretty much.
Of course, killed his son.
That she killed his son. Well, of course, you know, like dude, the son was raping her. Of course, she doesn't want to grieve him further by saying, okay, your son's dead. Oh, and by the way, he was raping me, and I tried to tell you before, but you didn't listen to me. Of course, she doesn't want to like worsen things with him.
Right.
So that's why she was remaining silent. And I thought it was so interesting how Caesar was coming to her aid. He
was very protective of her and assisting, but it was because it was to his own personal gain.
Yeah, he was lying initially.
He had his own issues with Tiberius that he was trying to use. I think, I don't know if he really felt the compassion towards Corey that he was pretending to feel as much as he was the vengeance for Tiberius and trying to take him down. So anything that he could do to take him down, I think that he would assist in that.
Yeah.
But it was definitely sad to see them crucified at the end.
It was. And it was all along Appian Way, which is that famous road. Even in the 1960s Spartacus film, we got to see that at the very end as well.
Oh, see? I love that you know your history, Sean.
It was another illusion. I know my film history.
Your film history.
I've watched a lot of films in my life.
But it was sad that that unfortunately Marcus Crassus had to use Corey as an example for slaves not defying their masters, and as much as he loved her, he had to kill her.
You know what? I don't feel like it was so much of an example as it was that he's trying to erase what happened to him. He doesn't want that pain and heartache anymore. And you and I were talking about this off air. I feel like, okay, Tiberius is dead. That grieved him so much.
Right.
And then he finds out his woman, who's a slave, by the way, and was Tiberius's killer.
Right.
So of course he doesn't want to be around that anymore.
Oh, it looks like we are good to go. Tyrone is online. Do we have him on our
I think so. Yeah,
right
say
now?
hi. Let's see if he's on there.
Hello, Tyrone. Are you online with us via Skype?
Tyrone?
Tyrone Bell?
I think you better call Tyrone.
I'll call back, see what's going on.
Okay,
but it's online.
We're gonna keep trying for Tyrone.
Yeah. All right.
But I agree with you, Sean, on trying to erase those the evidence of the existence of the pain. It's kind of like when you break up with an ex, you throw away the photos. They didn't have photos back then, so you had to just kill the person.
Yeah. Well, you have to do that first of all, and he actually ended up having that cast, which is kind of creepy, of Tiberius's face, but I guess that was their thing. That was like their equal to a photo kind of thing, right?
They didn't have Instagram. You got to just, get plasters of their faces in order to keep them for memories. But he winds up crushing it when he finds out that Tiberius did defy him, or that he did mistreat, the love of his life. And I do believe Marcus Crassus' love for Corey. I think that he really was in love with this woman, but he couldn't take the pain of his son, like you said, in addition to losing the love of his life.
Yeah, there was such a great, even though it was very subdued, it was, well, during that crucifying scene, it was very subdued. He was just looking at her, and he wanted to be really stoic. But you know where he showed his humanity was in the tent when he found out, and that was the most vulnerable we've ever seen Crassus.
Oh, yeah.
Just the expressions on his face, the way he looked at her, the way he looked at Caesar, and a little bit of side note, I thought it was so funny the way he smacked Caesar with his backhand like that. He gave him a good little bitch slap. And Caesar carried that scar and blood on his lip the whole rest of the episode.
Well, it was fun. This is very sad, but during the show, while I was watching it at home, my boyfriend shouts out in honor of Caesar, like, and Caesar was raped too, because Caesar didn't tell, Caesar admits to Corey's rape, but doesn't admit to his, to still keep his, I guess, masculinity and pride going on. But that would have been a golden opportunity for him to say what Tiberius did to him as well. And he didn't. He still kept quiet about what Tiberius did to him, because there's no way Marcus Crassus would have trusted him if he knew that Tiberius defied him as well. Then he would have known that Caesar was behind all of this all along.
Yeah, or he would have suspected it.
Right, exactly.
But Crassus, he ended up having such a powerful monologue at the end when they were on Appian Way. So fast forward a little bit to back where they're, with the crucifixion. So he ends up saying something like, okay, the past is Caesar and him have a little dialogue, and Caesar says, like, what, are you going to rewrite history? And he's like, no, the past is set. We can't do anything about it. The present, we only have, like, grievances and pain here. But you know what? The future, we can all forget about that. And that was totally symbolic of his relationship with Corey, because even though they had such a great relationship, it ended up being so fraught with pain and anger and anguish, and now he just wants to forget about her, and that's why he's crucifying her.
Should we, while we're waiting for Tyrone to get on the phone, should we do some quotes so that we can discuss some of the great things that were said during the show?
Yeah, let's do some quotes. I love this. This episode was filled with great quotes, of course, because it's the last one. It's the series finale. Gratitude for your wards and what comfort your presence has given. And that was Spartacus. Did you get that one?
No.
That was Spartacus to Laeta, saying that her just talking to him as being so nice, and her being physically there, of course, when they were having sex, was comforting.
Well, speaking of gratitude, I did notice that everybody was shouting out to him gratitude, gratitude, gratitude before they went into battle, just for the lives that they can now live and the freedom that they have because of Spartacus. And so I love the writing, because instead of saying thank you, they say gratitude.
Yeah, and that was actually a really powerful scene too. I was feeling it. I got a little bit emotional when and that wasn't just the men that were fighting in battle. That was the women, the children, the people who were non-combatants. They were all giving Spartacus thanks, and that was before they had to separate from the group so that they could be spared and not be slaughtered with the rest of the rebels who were fighting in the army.
Exactly. And Agron and Nasir, of course, we mentioned that they walk off into the sunset, but in the beginning, I like that Nasir had told Agron, my place is upon field and battle. This is what Agron said. And then Nasir replied, mine is forever by your side. Yeah. So even till the very end, there's this amazing love story between them. And what I was mentioning to you while we were watching the show was this is a piece of history, some of it true, some of it fabricated for television, but behind war, behind every evil atrocity, there's always an amazing love story that makes a really good story interesting. And whether we know whether this love that Spartacus had was true, or whether Nasir and Agron really existed, or, Crixus and Naevia, these love stories make the show so much more amazing.
And that's what's so good about fiction and the writers like Stephen S. Knight, who is, I keep saying this, he is our modern day Shakespeare.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what's so great about them. They're able to focus on the emotions of historical stuff and fill in the gaps, because we don't know. Everything is about history. It's so cold. It's calculating. All we hear is about is like how many people died where, the place, who the generals were, who was fighting, and what they were fighting for. But it doesn't have to do with love. It's like what they're fighting for politically, or for money, or for, like a rebellion or whatever.
Right.
We don't get to hear about love enough. And Stephen denied. He even said it like numerous times in numerous interviews, and he said it even, I think, at the LA premiere that we went to. He said that ultimately this is a love story. That's
exactly what it is. And we saw that at the end when Spartacus is on his deathbed.
Yeah.
And all his thoughts are just traced back to his true love. And Laeta's sitting right there.
Yeah, but she's respectful of it.
Yeah. But my whole thing is just like he even admitted, and I wrote down one of the quotes, which was why I was saying I wanted to get to our quotes, because at some point he admitted that his wife had told him that he would forever only be in love with her. Yeah. And that remained true throughout the entire show.
And that was really nice how there was a really good quote too. I don't know if I wrote this down, but I think I pretty much memorized it. When he was with Gannicus in the tent talking, and they were doing the council before the battle, he said to Gannicus, and again, he confides in him, which is so cool. He hasn't really done this with many of the other men who are his brothers, the other gladiators. I guess it's because Gannicus is the outsider. But he said to him, true, I have found comfort in many women, but I have still had only one true love in my wife, Sora.
Yes, I love that. That's the true love right there. And so,
do you have any other quotes? I have more.
Yeah, I have tons more too.
Okay, let me go ahead and read one.
I would give life to gaze upon forgiveness again. And that was Corey to Marcus Crassus.
Yeah, that was a nice one.
And she did give life in order to get his forgiveness again.
Yeah. Corey, she's so beautiful. I thought she was the most beautiful woman on this season of Spartacus. And
I agree with that.
I'm glad that we got to see so many of those sensual scenes she was in. I have had my fill of swords and tearful farewells. I desire blood and cries of our enemy. That was Gannicus pretty much talking about how he pretty much said what everybody was thinking. All of us audience members, us fans of the show, we're thinking that we enjoy the farewells, yes, but you know what? Now it's time to move on to blood and guts and glory and battle.
Well spoken, well said. Break words and pray to your gods, I find them of worth. And this was Spartacus to the little messenger that Marcus Crassus had sent in order for them to have some communication with each other before they began their conversation.
Yeah, that was really cool. Spartacus is lethal with those spears, man. Even I rewatched the first episode, and he even did that then. The first episode of the Spartacus series, he threw a spear and he knocked over one of the guys that was leaving the battlefield.
Ooh.
It is a heavy burden to gaze at war's end and weigh bitter cost of it. And that was Gannicus when he entered the tent right before the battle. He was pretty much telling Spartacus, like, hey man, like it's a hard job to be the commander of this army, the general, the leader of this army, because he sees what's going to happen.
Right.
And not only that, but during that scene, actually, we see Spartacus pulling the map and he looks at Thracia, his homeland, and he can never go back there.
That was a sad moment.
It was.
And I'm looking at you like, Sean, look what he's doing.
I felt something. I got an echo of the feeling I felt watching it.
I, once again, got to give a Corey's quote. You stand as you always have a good man who does what he must. So once again, she knows that Marcus is not going to let her live, but she still is in support of him. She loves him so much. She was honest with him. She told him the truth and still supports him and still pushes him because she knows that he has to go into battle and she loves him.
Very true. He but delays coming tide with grains of sand. And that was Crassus talking about, I guess it was when when Spartacus's army reached that crevasse and the men started falling in. And he was like, oh, there's so many of us, he can't do anything. We have so many men. He's like the tide of the ocean, and Spartacus he sees are like grains of sand on the beach. They're
right.
Like nothing.
It is a glorious day to have so many Romans to kill.
Yes, I love that quote too. I got that down. You stole it.
I took it from you. Ha!
I have longed to see you in true contest, as I have longed to see your head parted from neck.
Oh my God, who said that?
That was between Caesar. The first line was Caesar, and the second line was from Gannicus.
Oh,
that was
God.
really good.
Yes, that was good.
When they saw each other in battle for the first time there, and since, obviously since before then, Caesar was undercover. I forgot his name, like Leniscus or something like that, when he was undercover in the city.
Right.
But remember, they had that little contest, and Caesar kind of got his ass beat, but he ended up I was gonna say kicked. I don't know why. Kicked is not a bad word. No, but now they're in battle and they can actually really spill blood and kill each other.
But then they all started coming in, all the Romans started coming in and surrounding Gannicus.
That's something that Romans always do throughout every form of media you can find. The Romans, even the senator Romans, they always gang up on people and stab one guy.
Hey man, it's called organization.
like in Julius Caesar, the play written by Shakespeare. Of course, 50 or 100 stab wounds in one Caesar.
But that's the difference between winning the war and losing. And
True that.
The first thing that we noticed was the unorganization or disorganization of the rebels versus the Romans.
Even though they had some good moves up their sleeves.
They did.
There was, honestly, they can't overtake numbers.
Well, the difference between I think their fighting is that the rebels just, they charge you, they come at you, they're fighting with all their might. But what they don't do is protect one another. They weren't, I felt like, protecting each other as much as the Romans were doing the guarding.
And you know what it ultimately comes down to is money. They don't have the funds to spend on armor and weapons and shields and ballistae and catapults that they can use for their war weapons. Obviously, Crassus, who's the richest man in Rome, he was able to do that.
Yeah, very true. Sax's quote, I again find myself in your arms. I love that because I knew that she really did love Gannicus. And they didn't go too far as to her sentiments on losing him to Sybil. I don't think they elaborated on that storyline that much. Sybil just kind of won Gannicus at the end. But I did like that Gannicus still showed torment when he saw Saxa fall.
The last quote I have is, do not shed tear. Actually, I have two last quotes. Do not shed tear. There is no greater victory than to fall from this world a free man. And that was Spartacus's last beautiful words that poured from mouth.
It is hard sight to see one so loved among the damned. and that was Caesar talking about Corey being crucified.
Oh yeah, that was a really sad scene. A good quote by Caesar too.
Yeah.
And the last one I have here is, "We have yet found way forged by loving hands." And I don't know, maybe you said that actually, but that was Nasir who had made the shield for Agron to
yes.
hold, despite
Correct.
Agron's inability to hold a weapon. So it was so cool that, and Spartacus was like, "Hey, why are you still here, Agron? I ordered you away. You can't fight."
Right.
And that was the quote that Nasir said right after that. So well done. And it shows his, not only the brotherhood between them because they can fight, like all of them together, but honestly, like Nasir has so much love for Agron that he made him something. He made him a present for battle.
Oh,
What's your
did we
favorite thing?
mention his little love affair going down during the battle?
With Castus?
Yeah, Castus.
Okay, it wasn't so much of a love affair.
Castus had a huge crush on him, and
did.
Agron was about to whoop that ass for trying to take his man.
And we forgot to mention Spicy. Out of all the fallen people, the big characters, we mentioned Lugo and Saxon. They're supporting characters. Castus is one too. We forgot about him because he's a pirate, I guess.
Yeah, we haven't
known him as long.
He's been on like a couple episodes, but yes, that's one that we definitely had to mention. And
He got cut like right down the torso. It was like gaping open wounds.
Gaping open wounds. It's bad when we start talking just like them.
That's what
We're gonna go home, and we're not gonna be able to forget their dialect. We're gonna be talking to our loved ones like this.
I'm actually wondering if in the next show, and I tweeted this at Stephen tonight earlier this week, I said one of the things that I'm going to miss the most about Spartacus is the colorful use of language and metaphors, and it's like, even though it's in English, it's its own unique tongue in a way.
It is. It definitely is.
And I'm wondering, and I asked Stephen tonight in my tweet, will you create a new tongue for your new show when it comes out?
Wait, so did he tweet you back?
No, he didn't tweet me back.
Dang it. Okay, well, he's probably a little busy
Yeah.
working on, Caesar or whatever. But
Yeah. Incursion, actually. That's his next show.
what's the next show called?
Incursion.
Incursion. So is it going to be along the lines of Spartacus?
I don't think so. I think it's going to be a sci-fi thing. Like, it's going to be on Starz.
Oh, okay.
But, this is actually a perfect segue into our news and gossip, perhaps.
Let's do it.
Martin.
While we're waiting for Tyrone.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Thank you, Martin. Yes, so one of the big things that I've been looking at in tweets and stuff and seeing what Stephen tonight is working on next. And he is working on this one series for Starz, once again, called Incursion. And with the success of Spartacus, I'm sure that this guy, our modern day Shakespeare, I can't say it enough. He is covered in tattoos. He is going to be writing another awesome show, and this time he's going to take it in a direction that he wants to, because he wrote for Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He wrote for other like sci-fi fantasy shows. So I think it's fitting that he's going to bring it back to that genre. And though I didn't like Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
I loved Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Are you crazy?
I feel like because he has he's got such clout now, and people are really giving credit to his ideas, and he's going to have like whatever this new show is, it's going to be such a great intellectual and good show. But I bet, of course, like sci-fi stuff, it's probably going to turn women off a little bit more. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a kind of sexy show again.
Could very well be.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. I just tweeted at Tyrone saying hop online because we're trying to get a hold of you. Hopefully he's not in the middle of one of his like protein shakes and workouts.
Yeah.
Because I did a lot of research on him and his workout regimen and how he trains everybody, in addition to the fact that he also is the stunt double for Manu Bennett.
And I actually didn't know that. Thank you for bringing that up.
You're
Spicy.
quite welcome.
So that's really cool. And he kind of looks like him. He's got the beard going. Maybe that's why he had the beard in some of the videos that I saw with his stunt coordination stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So when he doesn't just coordinate their stunts, he does that. He does, well, actually the main stunt guy is actually Alan Poppleton, and we talked about him before. Mm-hmm. But Tyrone Bell, he does a lot of the stunt work, and actually there's this one shot, the screenshot that I took, I'm pretty sure that's him right there, helping out, like pull whatever they are, like the ropes and stuff to make people fly around the set. You kind of see what I'm talking about?
Wait, the guy in the blue?
No, the guy that's next to
right?
him with the shirt off.
Oh, with the shirt off. Yeah,
So
maybe.
I got that. And I'm pretty sure that's Tyrone Bell, but I got that from one of his twit pics on his Twitter account. You can follow him. I think, what is his thing? Okay, his handle on Twitter is @Tyrone TYRONE Bell BELL 1919. You guys can follow him and give him some followers. He's got 1,400. You know, I think he just barely started tweeting recently, so we should get him up there. And he has actually this really cool Harley Davidson that he had a twit pic and an Instagram pic of. Did you see this, Spicy? It's a really
that is pretty cool.
It's an awesome pic of him on this motorcycle. It's beautiful. I wanted to ask him about it once he got on Skype with us. So he has this thing also called Legion Training, which is it's starting this month actually. So I'm not sure if it started yet, but it's pretty much an unconventional, no apologies, and results-based workout, and it's all from the Spartacus gladiatorial workout that they did on the show. So he's adapted it now to have it used by the general public, and the tagline for it is just work out and improve your body 1,140 seconds at a time.
Oh, wow.
And if you calculate that, you divide it by 60, that ends up being 19 minutes at a time.
I love this. Sean can do math too.
And it's not just meant, this Legion Training workout, it's not just meant for men, it's for women too. Like, look at this sexy woman.
Nice.
That Tyrone put up on his website there. So this, if you want to find it, by the way, just type in Legion Training, and it'll go into your Bing search bar, and it'll go to Tyrone's website for Legion Training for men and women. And it's pretty much it's a contest. So it's like a contest or a challenge, and you get in shape for 11 weeks. And at the end of the 11 weeks, of course you take a before picture before you start, and then you take an after picture, and you send them in like a couple weeks after the deadline stops. And then you get to, I think it's Tyrone and some of the other cast members get to pick who they view as being,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the most improved. And Spartacus himself, Liam McIntyre, gets to choose, and he gives like some kind of personal shout out, or he announces it or something like that, or they get something signed by him. I forget exactly what it is. I wanted to ask Tyrone.
Well, hopefully we can get him on the line. Like I said, I just tweeted him. What I thought was amazing was a picture that he tweeted of Marcus Crassus, who his before and after shot.
Yeah, Simon Merrills.
Yes,
the actor.
Simon. So before he started working with him, he was very thin, not very toned, and now his body is ripped and amazing, and that's just from working with Tyrone.
Yeah, he looks so amazing, and I was actually looking at that twit pic too, Spicy, and it was from an article, and let's see, it was from mensfitness.com.
Looks like we got
him?
Tyrone back on the line.
Hello, Tyrone, are you there?
Tyrone.
Oh, looks like we're drawing a blank still.
He's online, and I called him.
Yeah.
Did he answer?
Yeah.
You know, maybe something's wrong with his computer. Oh, that's a bummer, man.
But he's online now.
Yeah, well, hopefully, maybe you can just
keep stalling.
Okay,
do a chat with him. Say, hey, man, we're trying to get you on. We can't get audio or video with you.
We got to get something, because I have some pressing questions that I want to ask him that I'm sure our fans for Spartacus also want to know.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so anyway, back to that article on Men's Fitness, and actually, I think Tyrone was actually interviewed in this article too, but it went from so Simon Merrills, he's 6 foot, so he's just like half an inch taller than me, but he's 47. This guy, can you believe this guy is 47? Simon Merrills, who plays Crassus.
47?
He is 47. He's like one of the oldest guys on the show.
Tyrone.
Hey.
Tyrone, yay.
Tyrone.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, Tyrone. This is Spicy and Sean from AfterBuzz. We're so excited to have you on the line with all of our Sparty fans.
Excellent. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so happy to hear your voice. All right, this is great. So we want to ask you so many questions. I don't think we're going to be able to ask everything we want, Tyrone. But
okay, well let's do the speed style then.
Yeah, speed style.
Okay, so how did you get started in show business overall?
Well, I actually started out as a stuntman, but it was more probably along the lines of a stunt kid. My dad was actually a stunt coordinator for the TV shows Hercules and Xena. You remember those ones way back in the day?
Yes.
Well, as a kid, that was my part-time job, was getting beaten up by Lucy Lawless. But that's how I started out, and pretty much I didn't really stop from there.
Okay, very cool.
And so then you got involved with Spartacus.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. I came on the Spartacus crew when I actually ran into one of the coordinators, and at the time they needed a Crixus double, and I was the perfect fit for it. So I came on there in episode 4 of Blood and Sand, and yeah, I continued as the Crixus double the whole way through, but then the training and nutrition side became a major player, and that probably became my more important role on the show.
So how did they transition you from being Manu Bennett's stunt double to training the entire cast and crew?
Well, there was no real transition. It was more like, this is also your job.
Did they increase your pay for that? Did you get a raise for that?
Yeah, not as much as I should.
I was looking at
No, it was fine. I mean, being a stunt performer anyway, our job is to stay in shape all the time, and you know, it was an easy enough thing to do because we were all in the same show. We all had to have the same look. So you know, the principles that I applied to everyone, it was already kind of what I was following. But you know, so it wasn't a major add-on. It was just something extra to definitely be doing.
What were this is Sean, by the way, Tyrone, and. Hey, so what were some of the most difficult stunts you've had to do on set with Spartacus in the series?
Well, to be honest, the show itself, you know, it's not a it's not difficult in regards to, like, if you've got a modern day show where you're dealing with vehicles and you know, elements there that you know, become a major player. These are constant fight scenes where we get a script and we're looking at 12, 13 fights ranging from massive battle scenes to one-on-one intricate fights. The most difficult thing, believe it or not, is when the fact that we have about, you know, we got 5 key cast members, but we've got 12 cast all up, and they're all in one fight together. And it's getting the timing right, because on the show we had a thing called the phantom camera that shoots at about 600 frames per second. So you see every bit of detail. So we want to see all the players, all the cast, you know, kicking butt in one scene, and it comes to timing. So that was the most difficult thing, you know, doing stunts in Spartacus, was the massive scale of even a single frame. Yeah, I know that doesn't sound major as in regards to the stunt itself, but that was our most difficult job.
That's probably the hardest.
No, I would say it's the hardest too. Like, I think I was reading some of the articles that you guys put up, that you put up on your tweets, Tyrone, and one of the things, I think one of the videos that we were watching is that said that because there's so much slow-mo with the phantom camera, it's like the cast members have to do a lot of their own stunts as well. Am I correct?
That's right. That's when the phantom camera comes into play. Yeah, because it's so slow, you do see the face, and we can't use doubles. You know, or it's very difficult to hide the fact if we need to put a double in there. So that was one of the things that these casts also had to be, you know, fit, fight ready, and able to take some hits too.
So what was the most fun and most impressive fight scene that you, or fight scene or even stunt that you're proud of for this season, for the last season of Spartacus?
I would have to say, and it's funny enough though, it's because I think it was episode 6. I actually sparred Manu, Crixus. And I think because I spent the 4 years doubling him, so I never ever fought him, while all the other boys, you know, they always had a rumble with Manu. And Manu was fantastic in regards that he was very method, and when it came to a fight, you were fighting for real. So, you know, wow. it was a good time, had a bit of a spar with him. I think it was sort of, you know, a bit of a sentimental thing, because it was, you know, 4 years together, and, you know, we get to finish it with having a fight, kind of a boys thing.
Very cool. Who's your favorite cast member to work with? Is it Manu?
Well, that depends. I spent a lot of time with the guys, you know, in regards to the training. So, oh man, I can't say. They're all,
he has to choose. It's too hard to choose. Wait, but you can. What about the ladies though? You work with some of the ladies, don't you?
Oh yeah, we get beaten up by the ladies regularly. Yeah. No, the girls are great. I mean, they came in like, for instance, you know, everybody recognises Alan Saxa. She came in a fantastic athlete straight off the mark. You know, they cast her. She was in shape. She was ready to go, and you know, a great heart. You know, there would be nothing she wouldn't try, and pick things up very, very quickly. So, you know, as a double, I didn't fight her that often because I was Crixus, so to speak. But training with her, in regards to all the fight scenes, just watching her, she was fantastic. A lot of heart there. But working with all the cast had their own sort of personalities, and it was just a good dynamic through everyone, guys and girls.
Everybody had to be put on a strict diet, correct, in order for them to achieve like the bodies that you guys wanted for their character roles. So what was some of the stuff that you cut out or that you added in their meals? Like what did like a normal day or a normal meal look like for them?
Well, it did vary from person to person, obviously. I take an approach where I like to use a lot of whole foods. It's very important for me. I don't use too much supplements. When it comes to recovery and things like that, glutamine, BCAAs come into play. But I want these guys eating whole foods. Whole foods are the best way to go. It was very high in protein. There were carbohydrates in there, but they were structured at times that they would be burnt. These guys were putting in a lot of effort and training. So they had to have the fuel to keep going. Everyone was a little bit different because everybody had goals. I guess my specialty was training the guys in regards to like transformation. Like Liam, I had the specific role to pack on as much muscle mass on him as possible. Simon, who played Crassus, they wanted him shredded. They wanted him looking, sort of along the lines of a bit Fight Club. So,
and he got shredded, according to the article that you posted that I saw on your Twit pics.
Yeah, he got shredded. He came in at about a 16-17% body fat. In 4 or 5 weeks, we had him down to 9% body fat, ripped before we started shooting. And over the course of the entire season, we maintained him about that, and we started packing on some lean muscle mass over, the last episode. Shirt off, he looked jacked. He looked great.
When are you coming?
Followed everything to a T.
When you come into LA, I need to bring you to 24-hour fitness with me.
Oh, is that right?
Those kind of results, oh my gosh. But with everybody on a strict meal plan like that, and I know you live on a strict one as well, and usually your body fat is like you said 10 at the most percentage, 6% usually. What's your cheat meal? Like if you could like have a cheat day, what's your cheat meal consist of?
Well, I don't actually. I don't have a cheat day. I don't believe in cheat days. But some people and some trainers will actually add in a cheat day, and they think that's for keep you sane, that sort of thing. But there's actually a purpose to having a cheat meal. So if your body has been on a calorie-restricted diet for so long, your body starts to get used to it, and results start to slow up.
Oh.
So you actually input a cheat meal where you take in a huge influx of calories, not empty calories. I'm not talking alcohol and sugar, but a huge influx of calories, and you actually trick your body for the next 48 hours. It thinks, this is great, I'm going to get these calories again, let's start burning fat easier, and you jump straight back on your diet, straight back in your cardio, straight back in your training. Next 48 hours, you are actually burning fat at a more efficient rate.
Wow, I didn't know
for
that.
my cheat meal, I do the rounds of the takeaways. I'm eating pizza, I'm eating butter chicken. I am 6,000 calories in one sitting. It's a beast.
Wow.
So we really want to talk to you about so many things, Tyrone, but let's we only have a few more minutes left. Tell us about your Legion training website and how you get that started, what inspired you to get started, and what is it about?
Okay, well, Legion training itself is the approach that I came up with when training the key cast members of Spartacus. The main difference with this to any other training is the fact that it is done in under 20 minutes weight training. And the reason that came about is because the production on Spartacus was so hectic, shooting schedules were so strict, that often it would be like, okay, Tyrone, you've got Liam for half an hour, go do your thing. And at the start, it was like, well, how am I meant to do this in half an hour? So I had to come up with an approach that would deliver results, whether their goals were to pack on muscle, shred up, whatever they were. I had to deliver that approach in basically, under 20 minutes. So that's how it came about. And because everybody's so time poor these days, it was such, it caught on. There's a sample of it on bodybuilding.com, and the response has been absolutely massive. It's like, I can actually achieve these results, in this short time frame. So that's what Legion is all about, is training in short time frames. It's the same approach that I used with the Spartacus crew. So now people can train, eat, live like their favorite, gladiators.
In what way is the Legion training different when it's geared towards women as opposed to men?
Okay, well, it's the same approach as in the time frame, but obviously hormonal differences, girls' goals and everything do vary from guys to guys. So the actual sort of exercise content itself does differ, but it's all within the 19 minutes. The nutrition approach is still the same as well in regards to it's still whole foods. We still watch everything that we pop in, but it just differs in the fact of the exercise focus.
You guys were working pretty hard on the show. Did you ever let the cast ever have a drink of alcohol or anything to just like party a little bit and unwind?
Oh, well, the rap party went pretty crazy.
What would be the alcohol of choice if you were going to drink?
Well, I know Simon Merrill's loved his red, but we kept that sort of to a minimum. I don't put a full ban on it or anything like that. I had no place to do that, but I did just, realize, look, there's 200 calories per glass sort of thing. I just make them realize the truth. I just lay the facts out, and they want it bad, so, they'd come around and see it my way.
So let's go ahead. We have like 2 more questions to wrap up with right here, sure. Tyrone. So what other projects do you have coming up in the near future? And are you going to be working with Stephen DeKnight and his team and Robert Tapert, Sam Raimi, any more in the upcoming shows like maybe the Caesar spinoff or Black Sails that may be coming or Incursion?
Well, I can't give away anything in that regard, but I would love to work with those guys again. Way back in the Herkenzener days, that was with Rob Tappert and everything like that. So I've been doing it for years with these guys, and I'd love to do it again with them. Their shows are always very stunt orientated and physical demand. So I'd love to be training their cast again if they were up for it. But besides that, it's at the moment it's all about Legion training. It's getting this training technique out to the world so I can create as many gladiators and gladiatrix as possible. Yes.
Favorite Spartacus curse? What is yours?
I'm going with Jupiter's cock, man. That's
Jupiter's cock.
Jupiter's cock.
Just screaming that everywhere, dude. I heard that when I was in New York. People were screaming that. It's like, okay, fair enough.
That is hilarious.
So, Tyrone, thank you. So much for coming on and buzzing with us on AfterBuzzTV.com podcast about Spartacus and about your role in helping to produce this great, fantastic show with all the great stunts and the nutrition and making those guys look shredded. Where can our fans follow you and add to your Twitter followers that you got going on right now?
Well, you can find me on Facebook, or probably the best place is actually legiontraining.com. And at the moment there, you can pre-register for the program, and you can find out all the details for that. But that's got all my links off it as well.
Okay, very cool. Tyrone Bell, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you very much, guys. It was my pleasure.
All right, man. So
that's so cool. We got him on the line.
I know,
Yay.
Fantastic. Your tweets work, Spicy.
Yeah, I was tweeting at him like, come on, we need you.
So, you know what? I think that about does it for us. We got to get out of here. Martin's giving us the cue to wrap it up.
Sorry, guys, but we at least got Tyrone in, and we got to wrap up this last episode, and it was amazing. Hopefully, we can eventually get confirmation that there will be a Caesar spinoff maybe of Spartacus, but unfortunately, the show has come to an end.
I know, and this is the first AfterBuzz TV podcast that I've done for a series finale, and it's so sad, we're not going to be able to be buzzing with the same fans as much, but if you guys want to follow us, you can sure follow me at Sean Austin O on Twitter, and it's the same handle for Instagram as well.
And you can play with my Twitter day and night at spicy_Madi, where I will be talking about spicy tips and any sex scenes in every single show.
and my next AfterBuzz TV podcast will be Hemlock Grove, which is a Netflix original series. We're going to be doing that on Tuesday nights, I think starting February 23rd. So you guys can watch that show with me. I'm not gonna watch all the episodes at once on a weekend, but I will watch them one week at a time, and I'm gonna be giving my reviews of that show. But anyway, you guys, thank you so much. It's been epic. It has been glorious.
Yay!
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AFTERBUZZTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AFTERBUZZ TV.
I am Spartacus!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.